Sounds like somebody else just joined us.
Sally, are you on? Kanal?
Yes.
Oh.
This is Sally, I'm here.
Okay. Kanal, are you on?
He's got 2 minutes.
All right.
Should-
David, you're on?
Can't have the meeting.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
There's a little bit of lag.
A little bit of a lag on it. Okay, thank you. We'll get started here in just a minute.
Okay, guys, we have to talk about somebody else now.
Well, just let me know when you want me to put it on mute.
Be careful, the paper's running. The recorder's running.
The first time I've been excited for football season in a long time, and now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I don't even know we're gonna have one.
Well, I want a refund.
Well, we got it. Cool, then.
All right. Kanal?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. How's everyone hanging in there?
All doing well today.
Okay.
Okay, it is 8 o'clock. We're going to call the March 24th, 2020 Power Board meeting to order. Welcome to everyone. Before we get into the agenda, Lance, do we have any special guidelines we need to deal with here?
I believe that the mayor's previous order, order number 1, is the one that really affects CDE as far as their operations dealing with the public. I can't think of anything directly affecting CDE.
I'm talking about just as we're conducting this meeting. Do I
Oh,
need
the
to-
meeting?
Procedurally, do I need to do anything?
Yes, actually, I'm sorry, Wayne, that's a good point. Just take a vote. You'll need a motion that the board finds it necessary in the interest of public health and welfare to conduct the meeting electronically. You'll just need a motion and a second to that effect, and then take a vote on it.
Lance, did I understand we have to do a roll call vote?
All votes have to be by roll call, yes, sir.
Okay,
So move.
okay, so restate the motion.
All right, it's that the board finds that in the interest of public health and welfare requires it, it's a necessity that the meeting be conducted through electronic means, not in person, because of the COVID-19 disease and the outbreak.
And the motion was made by Mr. Burkhart and seconded by Mr. Jackson. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll vote, and we'll vote by roll call. Mr. Burkhart,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Castleman.
Yes.
All right, motion passes 4-0. We'll go to the next agenda item, which is the February Power Board minutes. I assume everyone has had an opportunity to review those. We'll accept or entertain a motion to approve, subject to any changes, corrections, additions.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Ms. Castleman,
Second.
second by Mr. Jackson. All in favor of the motion, we'll have a vote again. Mr. Burkhart,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Castleman.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Now we'll move on to February monthly report. I'll turn that over to Brian.
Okay, Those that have called in, you have access to Board Pack, or you can see a screen that I'm sharing. And David is on the line. Dave, if you'll just help me get on the right page as we go through, I'll let you present the financials.
Okay, thanks, Brian. On my phone screen, it's pretty small, but I believe we're on the same spot, which is page number 1, so good job so far. For the month of February, we'll start with the electric division. And we actually had slightly increased usage, believe it or not, from 1 year ago. So you'll see that our power bill to TVA was up. However, the revenue's down, we'll see on the income statement in just a minute. Because the cycles, the way we build the cycles, January was such a lower usage month compared to normal January that bled over into our billing in February, picking up January days. So you'll see that reflected throughout. But I'll start with the balance sheet for electric. And if you look about 4 lines down or a little bit further, the interdivisional loan, you'll notice that went down $1 million. And I know what you're thinking. It's not June 30th. What the heck is Broadband doing paying back early? Well, Christy kind of volunteered with help from Brian and myself to go ahead and pay back some of that early. Now, this doesn't mean they're going to pay back extra on the loan. It just behooves them to go ahead and lower their interest expense to us. And we get to earn that same interest by investing this in the money we already in our other accounts. And it just saves them a little bit. And every little bit helps. They're able to go ahead and pay $1 million now. So they did. And that's why line 8 went down $1 million.
David?
Move on. We're still on the... Yes, sir.
Is that also being done, I'm gonna ask about cash and cash flow a little bit later, but is that also being done to kind of help with that?
It is now, based on what all has happened. It was not at the time.
Okay.
We did this at the very end of February, very beginning of March. And in fact, you'll see that the cash actually hasn't hit electric yet. It's in the receivable from Broadband, and the cash hasn't actually left Broadband yet as of February 29th, as of today. It's in the payable. So that is we are getting all our cash where electric has the ability to spend it. But no, that wasn't done because of any cash flow.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir. Moving on down, if you look at line 14 and 14.1, you can see there's our cash and our reserve cash. Reserve cash did go down. We made a debt service payment at the very end of February. Those are due March 1 and September 1. So that's normal for that. If you look at line 15, that looks up a bit compared to how it's been running. That's receivables, and that is because there's $1 million in there receivable from the Broadband division, as I was telling you about. Are there any questions on anything else on the asset side of the balance sheet? We'll move on then to the next page, which is the equity and liability section of the balance sheet. Year-to-date earnings, line 34, just under $8 million, and they were $9.5 million 1 year ago. And the difference right now is the February performance. We'll see how it shakes out in March. It's been still very mild weather throughout March. Kind of consistent with February. If you look at long-term debt, you'll see that did not go down because the debt service payment was just interest. It was interest only. That's why our accrued interest, if you do.
David?
David, I believe we lost you.
Look on the.
Hey, David, we're losing you.
Okay. I can hear you.
You're back now.
Okay. I don't know what happened. It showed y'all. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Continue.
Okay, good. I don't know where you lost me. I'd hate to start all the way over, but, actually I love numbers, I don't mind.
Just, you talked about the
Long-term
payment-
debt.
Yeah, the long-term debt, we just went to pay the debt service.
Oh, okay, so, line 52.2 was the interest, y'all got that part?
Yes.
Okay, good. If there are no other questions on the balance sheet, I'll move on then to the income statement. And as we already discussed, revenue is down, purchase power was up a little bit. If you look all the way at the bottom, net income, 1.7 million compared to 3.3 million 1 year ago. The difference is really due to the change in the revenue and the change in the purchase power, the way the cycles lined up this month. Are there any questions on any specific lines that I can answer for y'all?
Nope.
All right, moving on then, the next statement is the cash flow statement. I never dwell too long here, but you can see which lines changed to drive that decrease in cash for the month. Any questions here?
Nope.
Well, this might be, just talk about our cash situation. We've just recently purchased property for a substation. We've got the ongoing building project. We're still out of pocket on the October 26th storm, and now we've got this new policy where we're not going to have any disconnects. What's our cash flow situation going to look like?
What's it going to look like?
Yeah,
It's not going to be good, to be honest, and we're watching it. And so I've already identified, Ryan, if you don't mind skipping ahead,
Yes, go
that's the
ahead.
graphs, to the cash and investment summary. Basically, that's the pictures.
You want me to get down to it?
That's it. All right, so we can try to predict what's going to happen with people taking use of the no disconnect policy, and you can play lots of what ifs. You can foresee a quarter of the people not paying their bill for 2 months, and that's several $1 million that we've got to find. Fortunately, in the account 165.2, the prepayments to TVA, that's at 18 million. That's about 2 months worth right now. So that's where we will draw down first, if and when we need to. The next area would be on all of these collection accounts, looking back up a little bit. The checking, for example, First Advantage, Planners, Cumberland, First Financial, there's several million in there. We can draw down those. We try not to, but from time to time when they get large, we do draw down. We can draw down those if we need to. And that would give us several months worth collectively between the TVA prepayment and then what we have in the banks. We've almost finished paying. We've paid the bulk of the construction project, so that's already hit. We've already paid for the all of the storm expenses of $3 million. That's already hit. So we've weathered those storms. We don't have another debt service payment until September, and we've already stuck aside $1 million for that already.
Hey, and David, here's a screen that our billing folks are putting together. We're just getting into it right now. These are the only cycles that were due to be cut off and that we did not disconnect. So you can see on the left collection count. So on the 17th, 57 customers were supposed to be due to be cut off, and we had 44 of those that did not pay. And then if you look on down on the 23rd, 177 were due to be cut off, and 177 did not pay. So we're starting to see, and so we're just really getting into it right now.
Now, when you say not gonna turn them off, are you forgiving the bill?
No.
Are you just gonna, have we given you some more time to pay?
We're just giving more time to pay.
Okay.
And then
I'm not sure that's out there. I think, some people think just, hey, I just don't have to pay my electric this month.
Yeah.
I think that'd probably get you some more payments if people realize, hey, I gotta pay it in May if I don't pay it now.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Initially, we talked about other ways to pay your bill and talk about payment. And a lot of folks are saying, look, everybody else is forgiving, not disconnected, and CD's just worried about paying your bills. So we came back as with most, all of the, I'd say almost 90% of the LPCs in the valley are not collecting or not disconnecting in that. We started back trying to get the message out, and when we closed the lobby, we tried to get that message out when we closed the lobby, like, hey, we haven't forgiven that bill, you need to pay it. If you need help paying the bill, let us know. And we kind of got that out. Our social media folks are working on messaging to start getting more messaging out through Facebook. Our billing and now our cashiers are working together, and these folks that are on the cutoff that haven't paid, they're actually calling them. Since cashiers are not taking payments now, they're calling folks and trying to make payment arrangements and let them know.
And say, hey,
Yeah.
this is not forgiven, this is just trying to help you through the month.
Yeah, but I agree. I think the message is out there that we've just forgiven that bill.
Yeah, and I think that's why you got 177 out of 177.
Yeah, so we are working towards that on that message, and we realize that. So, but this is
But
the
if you're forgiven, I'm just gonna.
and I was
Yeah, that's a big deal.
And I will say also to Wayne's point on the what we're worried about cash flow, and we still have to pay TVA our wholesale bill. So we have been in contact with TVA now, and kind of putting it together as we've done our part to help the community. What are you going to do
I think
to help
TVA needs
us?
to step up here too.
Yeah. So Jeff Lash has actually sent a letter to us saying that they're going to look at it and work on something. I'm actually on a committee that will be meeting with TVA folks to try to help develop a plan and what we can do. And part of that will be TVA has a debt repayment schedule that we've all agreed to. And it could be that we slow up that debt repayment. I'll agree to that, and then them help us through payment arrangements of our own. And so we're not sure what's going to happen. We have not had a conference call yet, but we should be talking within the next couple of days with the TVA folks. But it's a problem valley-wide. It's a problem nationwide because everybody is not doing the disconnects. And the issue that we're going to run into now are a lot of people can pay but are not paying.
Yeah.
But then we have another group that have lost their jobs or they're out of work and they're not going to be able to pay. So it's going to be a long-term.
And I think when people don't pay and have spent that money somewhere else, that money's gone.
They're gonna be in
They could
trouble.
have paid it, but they chose, hey, they're gonna forgive it, I'm gonna use that $200 to do something else. I think the message has gotta be strong, hey, we're coming for, we gotta have the money, it's just we're gonna give you a little bit more time.
And we're going to start stepping up the message
Okay.
more. I agree. And I think one thing else to make sure point out to y'all that we could not disconnect without TVA's approval. So TVA Regulatory sent us a letter to kind of encouraging and giving us that approval to do it. So when we delayed on doing that, not because we didn't want to help out the community, we had to get approval from TVA before we were authorized to do that.
Could you forward me that, I guess you got that by email or something, could you forward that to
Oh,
me too?
yeah, I will.
Okay, David, I know we got you off task there, so go back and complete your report, please.
Okay, yes, sir. I won't make Brian, well, he's already gone back down, so that's cool.
Well, you tell me where to go, David.
All right, we had just finished the cash flow statement. So now we're back on the pretty charts. I don't ever spend much time here anyway, Day sales and receivables, do not get too alarmed about that jumping up this month. As we talked about, we did add $1 million there in receivables from Broadband for that loan repayment. And that will go back down next month. So that jump up has nothing to do with the coronavirus, although it could start creeping up and will start creeping up in months to come. But this month's increase was solely related to the broadband repayment that they'll make out of receivables, already have actually. Next is the operations trending chart. So you can see how we typically do. The last 2 years, it's been an income in March. The 2 years before that, it was a loss in March. So it's toss up. I think we're going to have a small income in March this year based on the weather trends being the same from month to month. Next is the monthly expense breakdown. Of every dollar we spent, 75 cents went to TVA in February. And next are the revenue and kilowatt hours sold by class usages. So you can see the revenue was down just a little. We've already spoke on the cash investment summary, so Brian's correctly on the selected calculations and ratios. We have met our net revenue requirement for the year through February. And our debt to equity ratio is 35%, still well below the TVA average. The next report is the TVA report with the same financial data and expanded usage data. If there are any questions on that, I'm happy to entertain them. If not, we'll move on to broadband. And the first thing for them is their balance sheet for the month of February. And there you can see cash is at $6.4 million. But then on March 2nd, it went to $5.4 million because they didn't make that payment. That payment for them currently, that loan repayment, if you look all the way down near the bottom, long-term debt to electric division did go down. But if you look up at accounts payable under current liabilities, it's at $3 million, where it's normally hovering around $2 million. That's where it went, just for a couple of days, because we have to process everything in a due to, due from with broadband to make sure everything, all that I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Are there any questions about any other items on the balance sheet for broadband? I will point out they're just below $3 million retained earnings or net income for the year. Next then is their income statement. You can see cost of programming and services went back down. It was artificially high last month because there was catch-up billing going on for a new wholesale, the Christy, what's it called, or Brian, what's it called where you buy the internet? Wholesale?
Yes.
Yeah, that. If you look down in the expenses, you'll see they seem to have a high general and admin expense, 232 compared to 160 and 200. Last month, Electric bought quite a few computers. Broadband has to get allocated their portion of those computer expenses because if I got a new computer, I did not. But if I did, 25% of that computer is paid for by Broadband. That's how that works. So for the month, they had net income of $349,000 compared to $400,000 1 year ago. Are there any questions on the income statement? Next then is the cash flow statement for the broadband division. So you can see which items drove the increase in cash for the month of $260, leaving them with $6.4 million at the end of the month. Finally, for broadband, there's the monthly variance report that was sent to TVA. Internet did increase by 200, video decreased by 150, and voice increased by 12. Are there any questions on this report or any of mine?
Have we noticed the slowing down of the internet with so many people at home, or is that?
Bandwidth
speed.
Everything's still good?
Yeah, everything's still good. We got plenty of bandwidth, but I'll let Christy maybe speak to our bandwidth and what we have available and what's being used.
Christie on.
Hey, Christie?
Hey, I'm here, I'm sorry, I'm trying to finagle, to get to unmute.
I caught you off guard, but,
No, can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as Brian said, we have plenty of bandwidth, all things staying the same. Both of our 100 gig connections are up and functioning properly and managing the bandwidth. We watch that and monitor that with monitoring software on a regular basis, and at peak times, which is most evenings around 7 o'clock, and on the weekends, pretty much all day, we've been peaking out at just over 50 meg, spread out over those 200, or 50 gigs, spread out over those 200 gigs of access. So, bandwidth-wise, we're in great shape. We worked with Netflix yesterday, years ago, because of the bandwidth that's used in our market for Netflix. They supplied us with 2 cache servers that they paid for and sent to us. Yesterday, we've been running off of 2 ports for activity on those cache servers. They wanted us to take it up to 3 ports, so we worked with them yesterday and turned up a 3rd port. So what that means is a customer that's home today and they're going to Netflix content or this evening, that content will be stored on this cache server here, and they draw it from the cache server here back to their home instead of going all the way out to the full internet, to the Netflix, and eating up bandwidth for other areas as well. So that's manageable for us at this point too.
so I think normally we peg out around 40, and now we're pegging out about 50.
Yes,
So that's the increase so far.
I didn't know if everybody working, everybody's jamming the lines, not necessarily here, but maybe slower traffic out in some of the subdivisions who are, maybe.
And that's one thing about our system, that we have an active Ethernet system and all the hub sites that we have. So it's actually a home run from that hub site to your house. So you're not sharing fiber, like on Charter and some others that they call it a G-PON or a PON network. They actually have, on that strand of fiber, there may be 32 customers per strand or 48 customers, where we have 1 customer per strand. And that's where we're able to guarantee that speed, unlike some others can do.
I've got a question. Are we, on the broadband side, are we not disconnecting there?
Yes, the FCC chairman put out a pledge to all providers to, 1, keep internet connected, keep services connected, open your bandwidth and try to reduce pricing, open up Wi-Fi where you can. And so we've kind of adhered to that pledge, so we're not disconnecting for broadband at this time. Our speeds are already so fast, we really don't have to open those speeds up, and our speeds are lower, our pricing is lower than Charter's at this time. And then there are some Wi-Fi facilities that the county provides and the city provides that we're making sure are up and running. And so that's our answer to the FCC chairman's pledge.
But we could see some reduction in cash flow or cash on the broadband side as well.
Yes, sir, that is
How
correct.
close are we to getting Wi-Fi downtown? I know we talked about that. Is that, are we close on that, or?
I'm not sure. Christy, do you know, can you give an update on the Wi-Fi downtown?
I just spoke with Amy yesterday on some other subjects, and she brought that up again. She is putting the plan together for that and planning to put it in this year's budget. There's a lot of equipment that has to be bought for that. So she's right now planning to submit that as part of her budget this year.
Okay. So we will supply the tech support and advice and the bandwidth, and then the city manages it. It's their Wi-Fi, City General's Wi-Fi, not ours, but we'll do the tech support and the bandwidth for it.
Okay, thank you, David. We'll entertain a motion to approve the February monthly report.
So moved.
Motion made by
Second.
Mr. Burkhart and seconded by Ms. Castleman. Is there discussion on the motion? If not, we'll do roll call vote. Those in favor, Mr. Burkhart,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Castleman.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Move on to agenda item D, TVA resolution.
Okay, this resolution is something that many of the LPCs are putting out. I believe TVPPA is looking at it as an organization as well. But there are some parties that are looking to, they want to use TVA's transmission lines to come through and cherry pick TVA customers. So in 1982, a fence was set up around the TVA service territory, and it was actually set up for investor-owned utilities. Investor-owned utilities were worried that TVA would expand out into their areas, and they would couldn't compete with those pricing. So, but now that means TVA can't expand out, nor can the investor-owns come in. But with Memphis Light and Gas looking to leave, and there's been 136 local power companies have signed a long-term partnership agreement. Those others that have not are looking at other options. So our fear is if we tear down the fence and we allow competition in, they're going to start cherry picking, and they'll pick like the Memphis, they'll pick Chattanooga or Knoxville. They won't pick some of the smaller utilities, and the LPCs have bought and paid for all of TVA's infrastructure, and so we feel like if we allow them in, it will destroy the public power model. So this is just a resolution saying that this board and our utility supports TVA and supports the model that we're under today, and that we're against allowing Wheeling or anybody using TVA's transmission lines. It's just a statement.
Okay. So entertain a motion to approve the TVA resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Jackson, seconded by Mr. Burkhart. Roll call vote, all in favor. Mr. Burkhart,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Castleman.
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion is adopted. Move on to contracts and professional services.
Okay, contracts and professional services. The first one is a TVA optional rate that we would like to make available to our customers. The first report is just the rate schedule, that if approved, this can go into effect in April. And I've got a second page there that kind of shows how it compares to our existing rate. So this is a rate that, it's a time of use rate. We have been working, actually Tenova Hospital, they are looking for ways to better manage their bills, and so we actually started looking at this rate because of Tenova, and Tenova has sites across the valley, so they were familiar with this optional rate. So today they are on a GSA 3 rate, and they're just built into our typical general services rate, commercial account, and we pay the same wholesale for them as we would any other customer. We have an optional rate that TVA will allow us, a time of use rate. They call it a TDGSA. This one will actually pull them out of our general services wholesale rate, and we'll pay a different wholesale rate for these customers. Now, so if we offer this rate, we have to make it available to anybody in that rate class. Anybody that was a GSA 3 can sign up for the TDGSA. And now, depending on your SIC code, you can qualify for the manufacturing. So TVA gives a discount to manufacturers with certain SIC codes. That's an economic development tool trying to bring industry into the valley. So we are able to, by pulling them out, we may lose a little bit of margin, but not a lot of margin on those customers. But we'll be able to save. We did a test on Tenova. We'll be able to save them money just by, and it really works if somebody's a 24-hour shift or they're working multiple shifts. If they're just an 8 to 5 company, it's not going to help them. So with trying to work with our customers, if we offer this rate, Tenova Hospital, gas and water, we'll talk to gas and water. They would see their treatment plant. We could see some savings, and their sewer plant could see some savings as well. And then on the manufacturer's rate, we have Vulcan Construction, the rock quarry. They've been on time of use rates before. I don't know if they'll want to be on this or not, but we would make that available to them. Shiloh's Industries, we've done a lot of work with them. It would save them some money. And Precision Printing and Packaging, I think they're MMC, I think. They keep changing their name. So we've actually met with them 2 weeks ago on some other items, and we believe if we've done some stuff, it'll save them some money. So this is a rate, an optional rate that we would like to put into our rate portfolio. It's going to help. It could help these 6 customers if they choose to adopt it, and not going to hurt our bottom line to do so.
Okay. Entertain a motion for the new electric resale rate schedule with TVA.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Castleman, seconded by Mr. Burkhart. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor? Well, again, we'll do roll call. We'll switch it up. Ms. Castleman?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Burkhart?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. The next TVA contract.
The next TVA contract is a redesign of the Green Power Switch program. They have now changed it to just the Green Switch program, taking the power out of it. And this now is a standalone program. It was a part of our wholesale, an amendment to our wholesale contract, and they have taken it out, made it a standalone amendment or standalone program. And what this is where customers can buy blocks of green power, and it was $4 per block, and now it's only $2 per block. So the price has gone down, and they can, for $2 a block, $4 a block was 150 kilowatt hours, and now for $2 they can buy 200 kilowatt hours. And this gives customers, those that want to collect their renewable energy certificates or their RECs, they can purchase this, and that would go qualify. So a lot of companies want to become green or say that they're green. This gives them that ability to do so. This program has been around for some time. We have several, I think Lowe's and Home Depot are big contributors to this program. But really the only thing that's changed is the pricing per block, and they've taken it out of the wholesale power contract and make it a standalone program.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the Green Power Switch program with TVA?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Jackson. Second.
Second.
Ms. Castleman seconded the motion. Is there a discussion on that? If not, all in favor indicate. Having a hard time getting used to this. Mr. Burkhart?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Castleman?
Yes.
Okay. Motion is approved. We go on to the Zecorum contract.
Yes, this was, if you remember last month, we brought to you a request to purchase a product called the A10, and that's the device that assigns IP addresses on the broadband. Well, when we actually got it approval, are ready to order it, they actually had a sales order that had contractual language in it that we felt like needed to come back to the board. So we're just asking the board to approve the contract that goes along with this sales agreement. And you approved the purchase last month. This is just the contract to go along with that.
Okay.
And with that language there,
Okay. Entertain a motion to enter into the contract with Z-Coral.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Burkhart. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Jackson seconded the motion. Discussion on the motion? If not, we'll do roll call vote. Old habits are hard to break. Mr. Burkhart,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Castleman.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Final contract would be U.S. payments.
okay, for U.S. payments, it is, if you remember with the addition of the new building, we were going to put 2 payment kiosks in the front foyer of that and make that available to our customers, hopefully 24/7 inside that. So this is a contract to order those 2 payment kiosks. It'll run $350 a month per kiosk. Since it's indoor, the drive-through runs $1,000 a month since it's an outdoor, but these are indoor, so it's $350 a month. And then it's 50 cents per transaction that we absorb here. So we would like to go ahead and get these things ordered. If they come in soon enough, we may put one temporarily in our lower lobby foyer to help with payments while the lobbies are closed, while that lobby's closed. It may not get here in time, but we're kind of just waiting to see on that.
Okay, so we're paying 50 cent per transaction fee to U.S. payments?
Yes.
Okay, and do you envision these 2 kiosks at some point just replacing a CSR? Or?
Yeah, we feel, or a cash, we do feel like they'll,
cashier?
yeah, we feel like that they will eventually, the growth of our kiosk payments across we've got 5 of them. We're located around town, and the quantity and usage just keeps growing in that. So what we're seeing is we feel like customers may come in, they see a line, or they would end up using that machine, or rather they come in rather than go through the drive-through, they may come in to utilize that machine. And the idea is, it being available 24/7, they could stop by, walk in, and make that payment. This is another augment to, since we don't have the night drop anymore, it'd just be another payment kiosk option here at the building.
Have we advertised that pretty much on social media about the other kiosks and where they're located since we closed the lobby?
Yes, sir. We have. We've tried to, anyway. I really think we keep pushing the online payments and those others. There's one payment kiosk machine on the north side of town that really I can't remember exactly where it's at, but they're all at the service stations, and it's does a lot of business.
Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve adding the self-pay kiosks with U.S. payments.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Castleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Burkhart made the second. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Mr. Burkhart,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Castleman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on, purchase request.
Okay, these are purchase requests for your review. The first one is 288 count fiber, and you see that it cost $284,000. This, the 288 for is part of it is expansion of our backbone, and part of it is upgrading our backbone. So it's just really replacing inventory and upgrades to our backbone fiber. The next item is switches that we're purchasing from Layer 3, and these are the brocade switches that we use. We're actually redesigning our network inside this building, and then we've added another wiring closet in the building addition. So these are switches to actually for internal use to upgrade our network with the building remodel.
Okay. That's for informational purposes. That doesn't require.
It does not require a vote.
Okay. All right. Operating policy 2-1.
Okay, operating 2-1, you can see our current rate schedule, and then at the bottom you'll see a comparison chart. And between March and April, with fuel costs going down, customers will see a decrease of about $5 and a penny on their average bill. So they will see some lower rates in October. We'll move on if I don't have any questions on
Management
that.
report, yeah.
So okay, so on update. Let's see, does somebody have a question? Okay.
I think that's you echoing.
I may be, okay. I had put in here just a COVID update in case this thing is changing every day. And so I had a line item in case there was something we needed to take up. But just wanted to give y'all an update on what we're doing internally. As you've seen, we've talked to y'all. Of course, we're not doing disconnects on electric or broadband. We've shut down the lobby for the time being. But we've extended the drive-through hour from 7 to 7, so that we've given customers a little more time to come through here. We have every area has identified folks that can work from home, and those that can work from home, we're doing 50% staff, so 50% of the employees will be here in the office. The others will work from home. The linemen, fiber to the home guys, the meter servicemen, broadband installers, substation maintenance, they really can't work from home. So we've staggered their shifts so they're not all coming in to the building at the same time. They work in small groups, so we've asked them not to congregate and to stay separate as much as they can. So those that have to be here, we're trying to isolate as much as we can. We have done away with any face-to-face meetings except for this one. But no, if less than 10 people, and what we're really saying is avoid face-to-face meetings unless you absolutely have to. In some cases, it's not avoidable. But we're doing that. I updated Wayne, but for y'all, TW Frierson, Joe Slate, that's the superintendent, his wife came in contact with somebody a coworker that tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. So out of precaution, TW Frierson has shut down construction for 7 days. Joe and his wife are in self-isolation. If they start showing symptoms, the project will be shut down another 7 days. If they are okay, feel okay, then we'll start back in a week. Keith, our safety director, spends a lot of time out on that project, so we have sent him home as well, just to make sure, out of caution, for a week on that. So with that, we've also, Privet's, I've said in one, and then Privet has really said in many webinars and doing a lot of research, The Family First Coronavirus Relief Act was passed last week. And that's gonna, I guess, really dictate how we pay our customers, pay our employees and that are out or have to go home. And it's confusing right now, but I think Privet said the 25th she'll get some additional information, and I think it goes into effect April the 2nd. So we're working through that right now. This is, we talked about the disconnect, but I had a note in here. We typically disconnect about 17,000 customers for non-pay. So as we said, right now there's 663 have been set up to be cut off, and only
Did you say 17,000?
we typically disconnect 17,000
A month.
a month.
Okay.
That on
How's
average.
that? What's the turn-on fee for that?
Turn on fee $30.
So you're out another pretty good chunk of change just right there.
Yeah. We make some we'll make some revenue on the.
That's not as bad as the cash flow challenge that we,
30, what is that, 34?
5,100?
34, 51 times 3, times 3.
So-
Is that 150 a month?
Do I now?
Is that 150 a month just on turn-ons?
Probably. I'd have to look for sure, but on the miscellaneous, probably run around, because it varies, but it averages. If you look at this report right here, you got your cutoffs, between your cutoffs and your good pays, and that you say last month we did. I said 17,100.
That's why I asked.
1,700.
That's a lot of
So
money.
I was looking at the dollar amount down
Okay.
here, Wayne, the 17,000, 1,700 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, so last month we did 2,300, and this one was 1,600. So, but we're already up to 600. I guess is what I was trying to show you, is that typically an average is about 1,700, and with just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles, we've got 613 that haven't paid so far. So we're gaining some up there.
How many days behind do they have to be before you cut them off?
We get
45?
20 days.
20 days.
Yeah, 20 days.
After the bill
Yeah.
due date.
Let's see. That's and others just, and this is early. This is early into it, but Jared ran me gave me some stats the other day. As of last week, residential usage is up about 8%. Everybody at home, but commercial usage is down 21%. So I think that was last week. So I expect commercial usage to continue to go down as this continues on. So that's anything else, Sally, that I need to cover?
I think we got it.
No. Okay. Anything else from our folks that I've forgotten?
I guess not.
I guess not.
Jeff raised an excellent point of the confusion that some may have whether we're forgiving bills or delaying bill payments. So just encourage your team to get clarification on that out and make it a frequent notification.
We will do that.
Okay. Mayor?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Words of wisdom from you?
Well, not from me, but I want to say thank you to the board and to the employees of CDE Lightband for your patience and forbearance while we react to changing circumstances. Everything is fluid at this point. We're doing the best we can to provide information as timely as we can, which is why we want our message to be consistent, but we also want to encourage people not to share misinformation or partial information. We've instructed our communications teams don't paraphrase or summarize official communications because it loses something in the translation or it adds to confusion. So I want to encourage everybody, especially those of us in positions of leadership, not to share information or summarize information. We are working closely with County Mayor Jim Durrett and the governor's office to try to be in lockstep with what they're doing. We want to take measured responses and measured steps toward helping to solve this. I know there's some out there who want us just to shut everything down for a period of time. I don't think that's a wise move at this point, but it may come to that. But we're not going to get out on that limb by ourselves, especially since we don't know that will people will listen to that. And then there's also some confusion as well as some anxiety about our large manufacturers who are out there and why they're continue to operate. Mayor Durrett and I have reached out to them, and so far the news has been good that they are practicing good industrial hygiene with their employees. What they're not doing is communicating that to employees to give them a comfort level. So we've asked them to circle back with their employees to make sure they understand what they're doing. They are doing everything in their power to connect, to protect their employees from exposure, and then to reduce the misinformation that's out there. A lot of rumors out there, so we're just trying to put those to rest as quickly as we can. But I can tell you that we're confident that we will emerge from this stronger. It's going to be just a little bumpy for a while, but we will get through this. So thank you all for your work in trying to protect customers out there, because at the end of the day, CDE Lightband will be known for customer service through this, where the other, our competitors won't, and that will make all the difference in the long run. So that's all I've got, Mr. Chairman, unless anybody has questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Sally and Kanal, thank you for joining us remotely. I'm sorry I had to be so formal. I'd rather have your smiling faces here where we can see one another. And Christy and David, thank you. And thanks to everyone in the room. If there's nothing else, we'll stand adjourned.
Okay. Thank y'all.
I think we're going to start seeing